welcome to this explainer. Look, right now, artificial intelligence has officially entered its most confusingly powerful phase. Everywhere you look, literally every tech company on Earth is enthusiastically slapping the word agent onto their product roadmaps. It's the ultimate shiny new object. But we need to clear the air right out of the gate here, because this trend isn't just slightly annoying, it is actually creating massive architectural failures. Let's talk about the buzzword trap. If you're calling your standard chatbot an AI agent, you're lying to your users, and frankly, you're lying to your investors. Right now, the entire industry is treating large language models and AI agents as if they're the exact same thing. And let me be absolutely clear, they are not. Treating them as the same thing is a fundamental architectural mistake. It completely misleads the people using your product, and it leads straight to poorly designed systems that inevitably break. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the architecture myth, brain versus employee. So we've got to completely redefine our mental models to understand what an LLM actually is fundamentally before we can understand what it isn't. A passive LLM is simply a probabilistic engine. Its entire job is just to predict the next token, to generate text or code. It's totally passive, it waits for you to prompt it, and then it gives you a single response in a single interaction window, and that is it. In stark contrast, an autonomous agent is goal-driven. It manages multi-step workflows, and it actually executes real actions. So the absolutely crucial point here is that taking a passive LLM, bolting it onto your app, and expecting it to execute complex, multi-step workflows is exactly like putting a human brain in a jar on a desk and getting incredibly angry at it because it can't drive a car. It simply doesn't have the machinery. Let's look at a real-world equivalent to really cement this idea. Could an intern without tools book a flight? Think about it. If you handed a dictionary and an encyclopedia to a brilliant intern, lock them in a room with absolutely no phone, no computer, and no internet access, could they book a flight for you? Of course not. There's no way. They have all the language understanding in the world, but zero ability to act. So I have to ask, why do we expect a naked language model to automate complex customer support pipelines without any external integrations? Which brings us to Section 2, the cost of confusion, and the real danger of agent washing. Now, you might be thinking this is just some nerdy semantic debate for engineers, right? Not at all. When product teams misunderstand this architectural difference, it leads directly to broken user experiences and, in some cases, catastrophic system failures. If you use a basic LLM for a multi-step automation, it'll confidently hallucinate an answer because it physically cannot take a real action. For a standard chatbot, that hallucination is just, an embarrassment. It gives a wildly wrong answer in a chat window, a user takes a screenshot, posts it online, everyone has a good laugh, and you move on. But a fake agent, a system masquerading as an autonomous agent that manages to trigger downstream actions without the proper guardrails, that results in actual data damage. You are literally letting a hallucinating system touch real customer records, move files, or send automated emails without any oversight. The risk profile is completely different. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it highlights the ultimate barrier to AI adoption: trust. Karndeep Anand, the chief product officer at Brex, hits the nail on the head here. He says, the day a finance team trusts an AI to handle their money is when AI has truly delivered. Try convincing finance people to trust an AI with their money. That perfectly captures the reality we're facing. If you don't actually know how your system works, if you're just throwing prompts at a language model and hoping it acts like a secure agent, you can never, ever earn deep financial or user trust. All right, let's move on to Section 3, the agentic architecture. This is the solution. This is the necessary architectural shift from a passive brain to an active employee. This is how you actually build what everyone's promising right now. Here's our working definition, courtesy of Murtaza Kowdroon, an AI product leader over at AWS. Agentic AI systems don't just answer questions. They perceive context, they reason about it, they plan, and they act with autonomy. This is the core shift. True agentic systems use the large language model merely as a reasoning engine. The LLM is just a piece of the giant puzzle, not the whole shebang. And this brilliantly illustrates how to actually build one. You absolutely must wrap your LLM in layers of architecture. Step 1 is your LLM, sitting right there in the center as the reasoning engine. Step 2, memory stores, so the system actually remembers what happened 3 steps ago. Step 3, tool integrations, giving it hands to touch external APIs and databases. Step 4, decision engines, allowing it to plan out a sequence of actions. And Step 5, feedback loops, so that if an API call fails, the agent can recognize the error and self-correct instead of just instantly crashing. You have to wrap the LLM in these layers to give it true autonomy. And because of this deep architectural shift, the user experience completely transforms. You move away from that standard chat UX where, the user writes a prompt, reads an answer, and asks another question in this totally passive interaction loop to a delegate UX. This is what true agents unlock. The user sets a high-level goal, steps back, and the agent iterates, plans, and acts on its own to achieve that goal. You're going from being a prompter to being a manager. It's a real game changer. Let's play out a quick scenario to show how this works in a product meeting. Imagine an eager CEO runs into the room and says, "Guys, we need an AI agent to completely replace our search bar so we sound innovative." Well, a smart product manager would step up and say, "Actually, no, we just need an LLM with a RAG pipeline for the search bar because search only requires language understanding and retrieval. However, for our automated travel booking workflow, that requires an agent. It requires calling external APIs, retaining state across multiple days, and making multi-step decisions based on flight availability." See, different problems require entirely different architectures. Let's move to section 4 and see how this builds into our tactical playbook, basically when to use which. To put this into practice, your product teams need concrete tactical rules for the roadmaps. Rule number 1, match the architecture to the goal. Use an LLM for anything regarding language, summarization, or simple search. But the second a task requires multiple steps across multiple systems, you must switch to an agentic architecture. Rule number 2, build guardrails at the action layer. You must scope an agent's autonomy with the smallest permissions possible. Give it strict tool allow lists and build explicit approval gates so a human actually has to click yes before the agent deletes data or moves money. And rule number 3, measure task completion rate, not just accuracy. With an LLM, you're just measuring if the answer was factually correct. But with an agent, you have to measure if the system fully completed the goal end to end without a human having to step in and rescue it. If you follow these rules, you're going to quickly realize that the era of confusion is pretty much over. An LLM plus tools plus memory plus planning equals an autonomous agent. LLMs are absolutely brilliant passive reasoning engines, but true agents require an action-driven architecture to build systems users can actually trust. So let's stop over-engineering simple text features. And please, let's stop under-engineering our autonomous workflows. Which brings us to our final provocative thought for the day: language or outcomes. Take a hard look at your product roadmap right now. Is your actual job simply to understand and generate language? Or is your job to deliver a concrete outcome for your user? If you're trying to build an agent just because the word looks fantastic on a slide deck, you are setting your engineering team up for an incredibly expensive failure. Define your problem, pick the right architecture, and build something real. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this gave you a whole new lens on how to view AI. Keep building, and I will see you next time.